where do you sit in that kind of nonstop and ongoing debate between we need to focus on Bitcoin as a pristine store of value, or we need to focus on Bitcoin as a medium of exchange because that's what's necessary as well? Or I mean, are you somewhere in the middle? How do you wrap your head around all that?
So I think it's both, and there's obviously discussion points there around both custody and around store of value versus medium of exchange. So for the broader topic of store of value versus medium of exchange, the order that this has kind of gone so far is first it was like a digital collectible, then it was like a niche medium of exchange. So like in a say, WikiLeaks, for example. That's something that really before it had material value, it was already serving that purpose. Then it starts gravitating toward more toward store of value. And then, basically the order of operations there is that you have a network effect issue where if not many people hold an asset, then not many people want to receive an asset unless there are other things get cut off, right? So as people have larger cash balances in Bitcoin, they're more likely to accept Bitcoin. And then the medium of exchange, I think, comes over time. But you do want to look out a little bit and make sure the tools are available to help that process come more smoothly and come more efficiently, because that can then circle back and make the store of value concept stronger, right? I mean, basically, when you look at billions of people around the world living in troubled jurisdictions, every time someone in like Venezuela is able to like leave their country with some of their net worth intact, that's been a success for Bitcoin. It helped them. It also advertises why this does have value. It's not just, people playing with their Bitcoin's magical internet money. It's actually, helping people in different countries, in either oppressive environments or inflationary environments. It's helping companies, be able to store value in something that doesn't melt away over time. And so I think that comes organically, and I think the store of value reaches scale before broad medium of exchange. Like, when we wake up, we don't look around and think like, I have so many payment frictions, right? Now, in certain environments, they do, but it's not really a top 10 thing we're worried about. Whereas, so for like people in developed countries, usually the store of value is a much bigger thing that people are worried about. How does build wealth and store it into the future for their children? That's a really big deal. And then some people do have the more immediate payment frictions, and then they might gravitate toward medium of exchange earlier. Also, obviously, tax burdens are a huge impact. If Bitcoin was legal tender, I would have my Bitcoin would have much higher velocity, certainly, if I didn't have to have an accounting overhead of that whole situation. Um, and so I think that's like realistically going to hold it back for a period of time. But there's 200 countries in the world. There's plenty of jurisdictions. We want the tools to be available, and that helps that happen. And then as far as custody in general, I tend to view it through the lens of optionality, in the sense that people should have the option to, opt out if they need to or want to into whatever kind of as much self custody and as they want. But it doesn't mean that we're trying to optimize necessarily to always be in that state. It's kind of like, for example, if I have a bulletproof vest, why wouldn't I wear it every day? Right? In case, right? But of course, there's frictions and expense to do that. It's uncomfortable. There's a cost to it. So I don't want to walk around in a bulletproof vest every day. If I was a reporter on a war zone, then that's an environment where I might want to do that. And so, for example, for long-term savings, I think self-custody is a very important thing for a lot of people, and it should be. But for working capital, like the amount of money that you'd walk around in your wallet, for example, your physical cash in your wallet, or maybe to a bigger extent, how much you have in your checking account, kind of like your month's worth of liquidity, for example, or a couple months worth of liquidity. There's layers of how much security that are appropriate for different contexts like that. And because there's a cost to higher security, and there's frictions there that has to be offset by the risk of things. So, for example, I don't think people should put themselves in an environment where their life savings can be rugged, by someone else. But if your wallet cash is rugged by someone you trust, that's a different level of a problem, and there's potentially recourse against that. And so I think there's different solutions for different risk models. And one of the powerful things you can do is trust people in your own community that enables you to pool resources, and everything gets easier. It's division of labor, right? So instead of everybody being their own like techie and managing everything, you can say, well, there are certain people that want to do this. They live and breathe this stuff. So let's have them run something, and then we can make use of it. And if they show signs of breaking that trust, we can go elsewhere. We can diversify our trust. And then if we have a lot on the line, that's when we, ideally want to pull it into other forms of self-custody. It could be your own Lightning channel, or it could be cold storage on-chain multi-sig with distributed keys, depending on how much we're talking here.